Hello.
State your name for the record.
Maya Kowalski.
Who's your sister?
Maya Kowalski.
And who's your dad?
Jack Kowalski.
And who is your mom?
Beata Kowalski.
Where do you live?
We live in a subdivision in Venice named Stonewall.
Okay. And do you recall about how long you've been there in Stonewall?
Yeah, we've been there since 2014.
Okay. Now, were you born in Florida or were you born someplace else?
I was born in Chicago, and we moved when I was around 7 years old to Florida.
How much do you remember about Chicago?
I remember some events, but nothing major.
Okay. Let me show you, Judge, what's been previously agreed to at 25-28-041. May we publish?
Yes.
Is that you as a baby? I know you probably don't remember that one. But
Yes, that's me.
okay, that's your mom?
Yes.
All right. Now, have you since learned that your mom had some difficulties with you when you were born?
Yes, I have found that out.
What was up with you?
She had there was problems with her getting pregnant, and then when I was born, I also had neonatal thrombocytopenia, which is where I lacked platelets.
Okay. And did your mom help with that treatment?
Yes, she very much did.
What happened?
Well, the only platelets that I would accept would be from her, but since she just gave birth, she wasn't technically allowed to give platelets. So she checked herself out of the hospital, and she did the platelets.
Came back
Yes.
with the blood?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And you remember your mom growing up in Chicago?
Yes, I do.
Let me show you 25-28-007. Published, Your Honor?
Are these photos in evidence?
They are.
Then yes.
Okay. Is that your mom as a younger person?
Yes, it
Your
is.
Honor, these are not in evidence.
This one is not?
No.
Yes, it's on the ones that we agreed to.
I'll let the attorneys come forward, please.
Kyle, before we were talking a little bit about your memories of you and your sister. Have you been close since you can remember?
Yes, Maya and I have always been close. She was my best friend. She was there since I was born, so we did pretty much everything together.
Let me show what's previously been marked into evidence as 25-28077, permission to publish.
You may.
Now, what I want to find out, was this your place back up in Chicago?
Yes, that's correct.
And you and your sister are entering a mudding race, or this is one of the toys, it's just you two playing?
Yeah, so this used to be our favorite thing to do back in Illinois. We would ride this thing all day until the battery would die, and then we would just watch the battery charge up and just count down the time until we could ride it again.
All right. Now, did there come a time when your mom, and were you close to your mom
Yes,
the
very
entire
much so.
time?
Yes.
I mean, sometimes kids get along well with their mom, sometimes not so well, usually the former, but you get along with your mom well?
Very much so, yes.
Was she easy for you to talk to?
Yes, she was.
Did you find her to be more on the hard side or more on the kind of compassionate side? How would you describe her?
In what way?
Well, was she disciplinarian? She made sure you did the right thing, brushed your teeth, all that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And was she soft with you as well? In
Yes.
terms of being affectionate and so forth?
Yes, very much so.
Did she teach you about your heritage? Being Polish and
She did mention stuff about her heritage, and her dream was to take Maya and I and the family to Poland to see where she grew up, and that was one of her lifelong dreams, was to do that.
With the court's permission, published 2528-106. It's in evidence.
You may.
Now, what's this?
So that would be her childhood home where she grew up when she was a child.
Mm-hmm. And that's you there with your sister?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have relatives still over in Poland, do you know?
Not direct family, but I think possibly cousins.
Okay. And did your mom tell you anything about her life over there, or coming before she came over here?
Yes, she told me how bad it was and how like the government had like a major say and like restricted on everything she pretty much did.
Did she explain to you about communism?
Yes, she did.
Was she happy to come over here?
She was extremely happy to come over here.
Okay. And tell us a little bit more about this trip. Did you? How long did you spend over there?
We spent a month over there, and we basically visited throughout the whole entire country. Like, we wouldn't stay in one area long. We would do all the cool touristy stuff, and then we'd move on to another location.
Mm-hmm. Is your family fairly religious?
Yes, we are.
Were you fairly religious back while your mom was alive?
Yes.
Roman Catholic?
Correct.
Did you go to Mass?
Yes, we did.
How often?
We would go to Mass every weekend, and then afterwards we would go to Sunday school.
Was that up in Chicago as well as down here?
Correct.
Okay. All right. And what was your church here? Forget. Catholic church. Well, what was your church here in Venice area?
Was it Catholic? Is that what you're asking? Yes, it was Catholic.
Okay. But what's the name of it?
It's called Epiphany Cathedral.
Okay. All right. And then, do you recall moving to Venice?
I do recall moving to Venice, yes.
Okay. At that age, I know you were really young. Let's, with the court's permission, publish 2528-081.
You may.
Is this soon after you moved to Venice, or around the time?
This is actually before we moved to Venice. We took a vacation to Venice as a family to just check it out. So yes, this was actually before we moved there.
Do you have early memories of Venice?
I do.
And at least up until your mom passed, you happy in Venice?
Yes.
Okay. So now, you were going to school here. Where did you go to school? Elementary?
In elementary, I went to Taylor Ranch.
All right. And where are you going now?
I'm currently doing online school.
Okay. Before online, did you go to junior high or high school here?
Yes, I did junior high and high school in person before.
Okay. All right. So up until, let's say, the July 4th, 2015, we've talked about here, you've been in the courtroom for, can you tell the jury whether your sister, from your perspective, was healthy and active?
Yes, Maya was extremely healthy and active. We did stuff on the daily together, and from that point, she never complained about any pain or anything.
Okay. Was she pretty, like if she fell down, was she the type of kid that cried a lot, or was she the type of kid who held it in?
Maya was like the type of kid to hold it in. She didn't want to really just bother people about it, so she would hold it in.
Was that true of her throughout the whole time you knew her?
Yes.
Known her?
Yes.
All right. And so you said you did a lot together. Let me show you, with court's permission, 2528-117.
Yes, you may.
And this is you two before she got sick?
Correct.
Out in the back?
Yes.
Okay. Is that something that you two like to do a lot?
Yeah, that was something that Dad, Maya, and I would do a lot.
Mm-hmm. Fish out back there? I got it. And this is right out back of your house, the little lake?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right. So, do you recall your sister getting sick? Do you remember that day that she got sick, or were you there?
I remember the day, but not. It's like a little bit of a blur for me, but I do remember certain stuff from that day.
Let's figure out now if Maya was about 9 when this happened. You would have been 7?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any memories of it?
I do have some memories of it. Yes.
What do you recall that day?
I remember her cough that she had. It wasn't like a normal cough like that any other person would have. It was like a very deep, and it wasn't just a cough. It was her like crying and moaning and coughing all at the same time.
We have that clip previously marked into evidence. What is it?
2616.
It's 2616.
106.
Just can you tell the court?
It's 2616, beginning at 106, ending at 120.
The one we previously played for the court?
Yes. You may play that portion.
Thank you. And what are we going to hear now? This is the cough?
Correct.
All right, go ahead.
Be strong.
Now, Kyle, tell us about that. Do you recall that episode?
I don't recall that particular one, but I do remember certain episodes that were very similar to that one.
Is that the cough?
Yes, that's the cough.
And when did that cough start? Was this after the 15th, the 2015 4th of July time period?
Yes, that's the first time I heard it, and then it progressed.
Okay. All right. And she had that for a long period of time?
Correct.
Now, after that point, then we're talking about the 4th of July when you first heard your sister get sick. Did you start having to go away a lot for treatments?
Yeah, she was always going away. I just assumed that they were just normal doctor appointments. I didn't really have a understanding on where she was going.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she was starting to go away a lot more.
And from your perspective, I know you were 7 or so, but was she continuing to not do well and or getting worse over this period?
Yeah, this whole timeline of events, starting from the 4th of July, it was all a decline from there in her progress, her health.
Okay. And did there come a time when you recall her going off to Mexico?
I do recall that time frame, yes.
Now, did you go on that trip?
No, I did not.
All right. So let me show you now. Well, strike that. So she was in Mexico for a period of time?
Yes.
And was that before Christmas of 2015, you recall?
I do not recall exactly.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But around that time in the winter of 2015?
I believe it was around that time frame, yes.
Well, let me show you Trial Exhibit 2530-003 in evidence. Move to publish.
You may.
Okay. Oh, and who's all that? Is that Christmas?
Yes, that is Christmas, and that's my family.
All right. Now, she had just come back from Mexico by this time?
Yes, now I remember that, yes.
Okay. Now, tell us about then after this period. She was in Mexico towards the very end of November, beginning of December. I think the evidence will show. And she went to Mexico. I want you to tell the jury about how she did after that, compared with what she was like before she went to Mexico.
Yeah, so after Maya got back from Mexico, she regained a lot of her strength, and also along with that, her happiness. And she was able to do stuff she was never able to do before. For example, Maya, just even unscrewing a water bottle cap would be very difficult for her. And then after the trip from Mexico, she regained strength back from all over her body, and she was able to do stuff that she hasn't been able to do since she was sick.
Okay. Well, let me show you then maybe an example of this. This is this is Trial Exhibit 2530-006 in evidence. Move to publish.
You may.
Okay. Now, this is just about 6 weeks after Mexico. What's significant there about Maya's feet?
They are a lot more straight than they were.
Mm-hmm. What were her feet like before she left?
They were turned in.
Like how?
They were turned in quite an amount, yes.
All right. And did she have any choice in that? Is that something that she had any control over, or were they always like that?
No, she had no control over that. They were always like that.
All right. And so now in this photo here, where are you? You're in your pool or someplace else?
Yes, we were in our backyard pool.
Okay. And so how's she doing here? Is she doing better from what you recall her being before she had the long-term ketamine treatment?
Yes, Maya is most definitely doing better. She was never able to have that much motion with her hands up in the air like that, and she was never able to have her feet that straight.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. Now, before she went off for the ketamine treatments in Mexico, did you know from watching her what parts of her body hurt her?
Yes.
Tell the jury the different areas that you physically saw or learned in some way that she was hurting in.
Yeah, what I experienced is a lot of the pain was in her lower extremities, but there was also pain in her upper extremities, especially with her arms.
Okay. And did you see different things other than the bottle cap where she would have difficulty holding herself up or getting herself around?
Yeah, she had like a belt for her wheelchair because she couldn't sit upright, and if there wasn't the belt there to hold her in her wheelchair, it would cause her to fall.
Okay. All right. And then if we look at moving on to Exhibit 2530027, now this is about 3 months later in March of 2016. Move to publish.
You may.
Now what's that?
That is Maya again in her backyard pool.
Okay. And again, her feet, are they looking better?
Yes, they are looking a lot better.
Okay. And before, could she move them into that position like that?
She would need help before for her feet to be in that position.
Got it. Okay. All right. Yeah. Let's move on then and see how she's doing then in May 21st, 2016, and at trial exhibit 2530-041 in evidence. Move to publish.
You may.
All right. So tell us about Maya's ability to tuck her leg under like that before.
Yeah, Maya was unable to really have like any control over her legs. If she wanted to move them, she would have to ask for assistance to move them. Mm-hmm. And at this point, she was able to move them on her own.
Okay. So was she getting stronger?
Yes, she most definitely was.
Okay. And then continuing on, let's take a look at hope these in order. Yeah. All right. So let's look at trial exhibit 2530-050 in evidence. Move to publish.
You may.
All right, what's happening here?
So that is Maya. She is trying to build upper body strength, doing some exercises on the walker. Mm-hmm. And I am there to help her, to assist her, because it's still not exactly possible, but she's very determined.
Okay. So by this point in July of 2016, was she were you looking forward to your sister getting out of that wheelchair and able to move around?
Yes, we all were, yes.
And so, were there times, if there were allegations here that somehow that she was faking it or making any of this up, did you ever see her in a situation where the other kids were playing outside and you saw any emotion on her regarding her ability to join in?
Yes, I have seen stuff like that where I would be with my friends doing something outside, and then I could see her watching from the window, yes.
And how'd she look?
She looked very sad, and I felt extremely bad.
Did she want to get out of that wheelchair?
She was extremely determined to.
Okay. So then all the way through here, July, and then did there come a time within a couple months of this, 6 weeks or so, that she had a setback?
Yes, that's correct.
What happened there?
Her condition just went the complete opposite way.
Did you ever learn why? What set it off?
I believe it was something to do with schooling.
So it was more on like a psychological side than an injury or something?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And so what was your reaction? Did you think this was going to hopefully pass pretty quick?
Well, I was extremely sad because I thought that Maya was going to get better like any time because she was doing the best she has been doing since she was 6. So when this whole thing went the opposite way, our whole family was absolutely devastated.
Of 2016?
Yes.
Excuse me. Okay. And so let me show you then, around the same time, a video previously marked into evidence as 2698. I'd like to publish it to show, I want you to tell us about what's going on here. It's pretty self-evident. Move to publish.
You may.
Now, is that, her legs are straight there?
Yes.
And how's her upper body strength?
Her upper body strength at this point was very good. Swimming is something that both Maya and I love doing, so we would always do it together.
So she was even able to move herself around pretty well in the water.
Yes.
And how'd that make you feel that your sister could do that, pull herself out of the water and pull herself over?
Well, yeah, she used to not be able to do that, so at that point when she was able to do that, it was showing that she was progressing, and I thought it was a very good thing.
But still not quite ready to walk?
Correct.
Okay, so she could push herself around on her legs and like that, and obviously master a dolphin. Well, maybe not master a dolphin, but master a dolphin for a little while. And is this something that you all enjoyed?
Yes.
Did you know that your mom was filming this?
No.
We'd just like a predicate late for the date the video was taken.
Let's finish the publishing.
And that's her wheelchair?
Yes.
And y'all kept it right in that spot?
It moved a little bit, but mainly in that area, yes.
All right. And then when she wanted to get out of the pool, how'd you get her out of the pool and into the wheelchair?
At this point, she had enough upper body strength to pull herself out and then grab the wheelchair and push herself up. But before that, we would need to pick her up out of the pool and put her into the wheelchair.
Now, did you know your mom was filming this? Or
No,
was your mom filming this?
I believe it was my mom or dad, but we had no clue filming it.
Okay. All right. I think that's enough of this one. It's okay. All right. And let the record reflect that, again, that was in August 11th of 2016. Now, did there come a time then when your sister, after she had been, as you said before, got sick again and you were upset and worried, do you remember the day that she went off to Johns Hopkins?
I remember it briefly. I remember that she was going somewhere, but I wasn't exactly sure where.
Okay. And did you know anything about the hurricane coming then, or was that something?
Yes, I did. I was under the understanding I did know the hurricane was coming, yes.
Okay. And so your dad left to take her up there to where?
I believe it was Johns Hopkins.
And was that the last time you had your sister home until into January of 2017?
Yes.
And was that the last time home with your entire family, your mom and your sister and you and your dad?
Yes.
So if the record reflects that she went into Johns Hopkins on October 7th, 2016, and October 6th, 2016 would be your last day with the whole family at your home?
Yes, that's correct.
During this period of time, she was up staying at Johns Hopkins, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right. And do you know, were your parents trying to get her out of there?
Out of Johns Hopkins while she was taken for the 3.5 months?
Yes.
Yes, my mom and dad were researching every night and trying to find a way to get her out of there.
Okay. And was it hard on them?
Extremely hard.
What did you notice from, I know you were just a kind of little kid, but what did you notice about it?
The stress that was added on my parents, that it was unmanageable. They were trying every way to get Maya out of there, and they were determined and wouldn't stop until she got out of there.
What about their relationship as time went on? I know you were just a little boy, but did you notice any stress? between
Yes,
them?
the stress in the family caused more arguments than normal between them.
Did they argue much normally, or was it pretty stable marriage from what you saw? And I know you were just a
it
kid.
was
but-
stable, yes.
Okay. But now, what was the change
What do you mean?
between them? Were they disagreeing? Were they...
Yeah, they were disagreeing on certain things. Yeah.
Was it about how to get Maya out?
Yes, I believe there is a specific time where that there was a disagreement on that.
Okay. All right. Now, before Maya left for Johns Hopkins, I want to ask you about some things and whether you noticed any of them on her. Did you ever see what are known as lesions? You know what lesions are?
Yes.
Little round, angry, or streaky, almost a scrape looking with a lesion at the end of it on
Yes.
her. Did she have those before she went to Mexico? Did she have a lot of those?
Yes.
And did they hurt her?
Yes, they very much did hurt her.
Did you or your mom, or your dad have to put cream or things on them?
Yes, there was a certain ointment and cream that.
Okay. And then when she, during this period of time before she went for the ketamine treatments in Mexico, then did you notice that she would be super sensitive to touch at different points?
Yes, there would be times, especially in her legs and arms, where if you even just the sensation from water touching her would be too much.
And then other days it would be fine?
Some days, yes.
Okay. Did you have good days and bad days?
Yes.
Tell us about Maya's pain at night. Did that cause the family, and I'm talking about before she went off to Mexico, did that cause everybody some problems about sleeping?
Yeah, most certainly. Maya would be up crying and moaning all night, and I'm only about 10, 12 feet away from her room, is my room, and I would be up all night hearing her.
Did y'all ever do anything so that Maya could communicate while y'all were on the other side of the house?
Yeah, we tried walkie-talkies because my parents' room and Maya's room were on complete opposite sides of the house.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And was this hard on you, hearing your sister in pain like that?
Yes.
And so then, how about, and if you notice them or didn't notice them, her movements then in her lower body, was she limited in her feet movements all the time? Talking about before she left for Mexico?
Yes, she would need help moving her legs.
Okay. And what else did you notice that was strange? Anything about colors of her skin from time to time?
Yes, around her knees would be extremely red.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then what about, and I don't know if you saw this or not at your age, but any heat sensations or cold sensations where she'd get super hot or super cold for no apparent reason?
Yeah, there would be times where she would ask for a blanket.
Uh-huh. And this is Florida, so how did that strike you in the circumstances?
Very confused.
And I know you were small. All right, so after the ketamine treatments over the course of that spring and summer of 2016, before she went into Johns Hopkins, did any of those, we talked about and seen the dystonia, but did any of the other symptoms get better?
After the ketamine?
Yeah.
After treatments, yes, the symptoms definitely did get better.
Okay. So tell us about the lesions. Were they better?
Yeah, the lesions, they started to cure. They
Uh-huh.
got better.
And her movement, of course.
Yeah, the movement definitely got better.
Mm-hmm. And was she more comfortable?
Yes, and she was also a lot happier.
A lot happier?
Yes.
Okay. And she was still getting, after Mexico, did you know she was still going off for some treatments here and there?
I was briefly aware, not...
Okay, you weren't
yeah.
part of that a
Yeah,
lot?
I wasn't exactly.
Okay. All right. But for whatever reason, your sister was happier.
Yes.
Was she still having pain here and there?
Yeah, there was definitely still be pain.
Okay. Now, while she was, let's jump ahead and talk about at Johns Hopkins. at first, were you anybody allowed to see your sister, or was this? Strike that. When was the first time you remember being able to go see your sister?
I do not remember the exact date, but I do kind of remember the day.
Okay. And tell me about that.
Yes, so I was extremely excited to see Maya because it's the first time I've seen her since she was taken.
Right. And then, how was she in the hospital? Besides being excited to see you, but how did she look physically?
She was not doing good.
No?
No.
All right. And did you notice, or did she appear happy or sad about being in there?
She was extremely sad and wanted to come home.
Was she lonely?
Extremely.
And from what you saw, were you able to spend some time here and there with her? When I say time, I mean an hour or so, 2?
Yeah, we were only limited to our time of how long we could be there.
And how long was that?
I do not remember exactly.
Short, long, half a day?
It was short.
Was it less than half a day?
Most certainly.
How did the nurses and people around treat y'all?
I do not really have an understanding of how they treated us, but I remember Maya talking about how like some of them did not treat her well, and they were talking behind her back.
Your Honor, from the hearsay.
Okay. From what you saw, was your sister enjoying her interaction with the nurses or not enjoying it?
Not enjoying it.
All right. And so, how often would you get to come up and see her?
As often as I was able to.
And what was that? Was that once a week, once a month?
I do not remember exactly, but I do know it was as often as I could.
But when we're talking about this period, October, November, December, and into January, then can you give the jury idea? Was this just like once a week or so? Or?
Yeah, it was probably limited to around that time.
And how did that make you feel?
It was extremely sad, especially with the holidays coming up. We extremely missed her and wanted her to be home by the holidays.
Mm-hmm. Was she home then for Halloween?
No.
Was she home for Thanksgiving?
No.
Christmas?
No.
Her birthday is sometime in December, isn't it?
Yes.
Was she home for her birthday?
No.
Okay. And so then, you obviously recall and just sat through the 911 tape, but you know when your mom passed away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're going to bring you back and talk about that a little later.
Okay.
But I want to skip ahead from there and talk about Maya's journey after she got out finally. Did she get out immediately after your mom died, or did it take a while to get her out?
It was not immediately after. It took a little time.
Do you remember how that affected you and your dad not being able to get her out?
Yes, on top of the death of my mom, it was extremely hard.
Okay. And do you remember how she was when she came home?
She was like the worst I've seen her. All her symptoms that she had were extremely intensified.
All right. Did she have the lesions back?
Yes.
Were her feet back in the
Yes.
dystonia? Was she weak?
Very.
Describe how weak.
She would have trouble opening like a water bottle cap off a water bottle.
Again, right? Anything else? Was she able to get herself back up into a wheelchair again?
No, she needed help.
Did she need help with everything?
Yes.
Were there ever times when you thought you might lose your sister then?
Most definitely, yes.
Okay. So, knowing your sister, did she try to get herself better?
She was extremely determined to get better.
All right. What did you see from your perspective? So let's see, you would have been what, like 8 or 9 by then?
Yes.
So from your perspective as her brother, how'd she do it?
She was working as much as she could to get better, doing all sorts of things to try to get better.
And what time would she get up in the morning to do it? Do you recall?
I remember that she would get up extremely early in the morning.
Like before 6
Yes.
to work out?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know during this period of time if it was painful for her to do this?
Yes, it was.
Did you notice that? What did you see?
There's times where she would just break down crying because the pain was too much.
Okay. And did there come a time then when she was able to try to switch off of the wheelchair and into crutches?
Yes, eventually she gained the strength to be able to do that.
Now, was this a just all at once thing, or did she have to spend some time in the wheelchair and then crutches, then back to the wheelchair and then crutches? In other words, did she have to work into it?
I do not exactly remember, but I remember the process from her being in the wheelchair to doing crutches was a long process.
Okay. And then from there on to being able to walk, did that take quite a while as
Yes,
well?
that did.
And we'll hear testimony about how long. All right. And so, but eventually she was able to walk, right?
Yes.
Obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's talk about her today, as she is today. Now, actually, I'll take that back. Do you remember her having a relapse after this?
Yes,
a couple
I do.
years later?
Yes.
Tell the jury what you recall about it.
I recall that she had a relapse and had like bad symptoms again, and that both Dad and I were extremely worried again for her health.
Okay. And did she go to the hospital again?
Yes, she did.
Did you? And how long was she in there? Do you recall?
I do not recall.
Was it a week? More than
I
a week?
think it was
less
a
than
little
week?
more than a week.
Okay. All right. And you went to visit her there?
Yes.
No problems getting in and out of that
No
hospital?
problem, no.
And the once she got out of that, after that relapse, did she have to work again to rebuild herself?
Yes, she did.
And again, was that hard?
Yes, very hard on her family.
So after she got out of Johns Hopkins, within a couple of years, she had yet another relapse?
Yes.
All right. And so, how's she doing now?
She's doing good. I mean, that's today, though. Like, tomorrow could be completely different. Her pain varies on a day-to-day basis.
Okay. Are there days when she just doesn't want to do anything?
Yes.
Okay. Have you noticed that she has any physical reactions, any tics, any issues with her legs, anything like that?
Yes, there is still times where I do notice that.
Okay. Anything new that you've noticed?
Not recently, no.
Okay. And so she's able to get around real well now.
Correct, yes.
Are there days when she'll just lay in bed all day and
Most
not want to
certainly,
do
yes.
anything?
Yes.
And other days she wants to go to the beach and go out and
Yes.
have fun, right? Does she ever